Welcome to the Revenue Agency. In today's special edition of Coach's Corner, we dive deep into the stories and strategies of extraordinary coaches who are making a genuine impact in their communities. Each week, I bring you authentic voices from diverse niches, coaches who have faced their own challenges like burnout and brokenness, and turned those experiences into powerful catalysts for change. I'm Brittany Hall. Join me as we explore their journeys, unpack valuable insights, and discover how they've transformed their struggles into lessons that empower others. Whether a coach yourself or simply looking for inspiration, you won't want to miss these heartfelt conversations that illuminate the path to resilience and growth. Let's get started. All right, everybody, welcome. My name is Brittany Hall, and this is the Revenue Agency podcast. This is a special edition of the Coach's Corner, and today I'm so pumped to be joined by Phillip Deas. This is one of the coolest dudes I have met in this industry. Phil, I really feel like you are like the nicest, coolest guy.
Well, thank you. That is the nicest and coolest comment I've ever gotten. So thank you.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I've worked in this industry for a while, and there's a lot of different personalities. But I remember when Carrie introduced us, I was like, he's so nice, like just the best dude. So I'm so glad you came into my world, and it's an honor to be here. And I'm excited for people to learn more about you, what you do. But first, just to kind of like start us off, I want to know, like, what are you loving in your life or your business, or it could be anything. Like, what are you loving right now? What are you into?
Man, I'm just loving helping people get better, watching people accomplish their dreams, seeing them grow, evolve, become really optimize, man. Whenever they're optimizing in every area of their life, I like to say, man, I'm not a business coach, I'm not a marketing coach. I coach holistic. And so that is professional, that is personal, that is relational in every area. Watching these men and women really grow and become and develop and advance, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I remember the first conversation we had about like, your coaching business, and you said, I'm really more of a holistic coach. And I was like, what does that mean? But now that, I've gotten to know you, and with your background in ministry too, I think that you don't get into something like that if you don't feel 100% called and like love people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'd love to kind of hear and just share with people a little bit of your backstory. You were in ministry for what, like 20 years?
Yeah, I started preaching when I was 18 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so right when I graduated high school. And so I really mixed these two things together of ministry and then football. I went on a full scholarship to play at the University of North Carolina, ended up rupturing a disc in my back, which ended my playing career, but then started my coaching career. So I coached a couple years in college. Then I came back to my hometown to work at my alma mater. So I was coaching there. It's a Christian school, so it's attached to a church. So I was
Okay.
on staff of the church, also coordinating the offense for the football team. Won multiple state championships there, and then was pastoring as well. And that really was my life for about 12 years of coaching, pastoring, doing both. And so I really think, somebody said, what really prepared you for what you're doing now? And I'm like, that was it. Those two things, man, of helping people navigate in their spiritual life, right? And then also helping players excel on the football field. And like, I just feel like what I'm doing now, coaching in the corporate space, leadership, it's really like bringing those two worlds together, and you're really helping people develop the mindset and the behaviors that they need to excel and to really accomplish their dreams. Because what I tell everybody is, look, I'm not a guru, I'm just a guide. I'm just here to help you get to where you want to go. There's not a right place to go. I can't tell you where you should go or what it should look like for you. That's up to you. I'm just a guide to help you get where you say you want to go. And so really from the ministry side and the football side really prepared me for everything that I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because it's really, in all those, it's like there's coaching, obviously, like how most people probably think of a coach is like in the athletic realm, and then ministry, which I always joke, I'm like, that has to be a calling. Because, and, I grew up going to Christian school and, go to church and stuff. And I'm like, that's just a mixed bag. There's like, you encounter all sorts of people. And, I think probably a lot of them are like, you can fix my problems. And
Yeah.
then navigating that into the business world, which is a completely different thing. So you kind of done it all.
Yeah, I think there's so many similarities though,
Hmm.
because the problem is always with people.
Mm,
That's where the problem is always internal, right? And so like helping people, with their issues and their whether that be in their marriage and relationship with their kids and with their own addictions or struggles or challenges. Man, it really just translates right over into the business because business is made up of people,
yeah.
right? I mean, are there systems and structures and policies? Yes. But at the core, there's people, and
Mm.
people are the one that create all the problems. And ourselves first. It's not just the people out there. Like this is the biggest problem I've ever had in my life, sitting
Oh
right
yeah.
here in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And whenever we understand that, it's like, okay, there's so many similarities here, and so that's why I feel like it's just been such a good transition for me, an easy transition because I've just helped people, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm just helping people. It's just moving in a little bit of a different direction, but at the end of the day, it's still helping people think the way that they need to be thinking,
Mhm.
responding the way that they need to be responding, preparing the way they need to be preparing, right? And all of those things put together is what is going to allow you to be successful in no matter what you're trying to do in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because as you were saying, like the problem's always with people, and that clicked in my head. I'm like, and we have to have people to do anything we want to do.
Right.
Business, anything. It's like we need. It's always, yeah. It's such a relationship game, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think when you focus on like the human element and just like the person in front of you and that connection and really caring a lot, I think that no matter what problems come up, you can always like get through it as
That's
long as
right.
they want to. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did you transition? Like, how did that come up? Transitioning from ministry into more of like the corporate coaching and like business coaching, like, or
Yeah.
in that field?
Yeah. So really my football world kind of opened doors into the corporate space a little
Mhm.
bit more. So like from just speaking, people would say, hey, I need you to come in and inspire my team. I need you to come in and teach team building or whatever, just from
Yeah.
that kind of coaching side. So that kind of opened a lot of doors for me in that space. And so I had done a lot of corporate business, more speaking, right? Just going in and inspiring, motivating, that type of that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so and that's kind of where it started. So I was, it got invited to be on a as anything, like on a podcast, did a podcast, somebody saw the podcast, hey, do you do one-on-one coaching? At that moment, I said, well, yeah, sure, I do. And they said, well, how much do you charge? And I was like, well, I've been pastoring, so I've been doing it for free for all my life. I was like, but this is my opportunity right
Oh,
now.
yeah. Oh,
I've
yeah.
been coaching people through lunches and breakfast that I was paying for. I was paying for the
Oh my
breakfast, paying
gosh.
for the lunch, and giving the coaching. I'm like, you mean I have a chance to make some money on this now? And so,
Yeah.
sure enough, yeah, as a guy in our community, and that's where it started. And he just became a raving fan. He was my very first client. He became a raving fan. Started telling everybody about how this was, really changing his life, transforming his business, and just out of that is where I really started. And so it's
Yeah.
been a pretty cool journey.
Yeah, that's cool. It just made me think about like even if you just have one person, like you do the absolute best job for that person. And that's really like how a lot of businesses will grow, you know?
Yeah,
So were you doing both at the same time for a
I
little while?
was. Yeah,
Okay.
so I did both at the same time for several years. So like that goes back to like 2019 is
Mm,
kind of when I started, and we just transitioned fully out of the church in January of 2024.
okay.
Yeah, so I did like 4 years, kind of, and that was interesting because the business was really growing, and I was kind of having to put a lid on my business growth because I was like, man, I still have these responsibilities, and I'm not willing to let these responsibilities go down. And so
Yeah.
navigating that was a challenge, and then but it created a smooth transition out because I already had a good business going, and really some people in, backlogged in the pipeline, if you would, that were
Yeah,
ready. I just said, I just can't do it. But if you'll just wait, if
yeah.
you'll wait a few months, I can do it,
Yeah.
and so it really created a smooth transition, for me into what we're doing full time now.
Oh, that's so awesome. Was there any like friction with the church and like doing this outside thing? Or was it just like, I've heard, just some people be like, where people have maybe in the congregation take issue with it, or you shouldn't be doing this, or was it just always just like, great?
No, we didn't really have any problem, and I think people just kind of knew, like, that's who I really was as a pastor. I was a coach. That's what everybody called me. Everybody called me coach. Nobody called me
Oh,
pastor.
funny.
Everybody called me coach because, like, that's just who you are. Like, that's just what you do on Sundays. They would say this church feels more like a locker room than it does a sanctuary, because that's just who I am. And so that's just the way that so for people to know, like, oh, you're speaking, you're coaching, they're like, well, yeah, of course he is. That's all he ever does. Like, that's what he does. So it never was like an odd thing for people, or people were like shocked or surprised. It was more like,
Like
well, of
that makes
course. Of
sense.
course he is, right? Yeah, of course he's
Yeah.
doing, of course he's doing that. But I was very careful. It's something that I never talked about. I never talked about in church. I never obviously stood up and, said anything,
Get an offer?
yeah, it's like, yeah, like, hey, meet me out back, or whatever.
Use
Like,
the
I'm not,
QR code.
come to my master class and sign up. I mean,
Oh,
I didn't, I never did anything like that. But at the same time, I was kind of running these things at the same time, until it really got to a place where we knew that, man, this is going to really be our future. And we
yeah.
transitioned the church to my wife's brother. So it's been an awesome
So cool.
transition. It's been fantastic. We still attend church. We're still connected. We still preach a few times a year. So it's been a great transition, for the church, and a great transition for us personally. So it's really worked well.
That's really cool. So, man, it's a whole family. Because I know your wife
Yep.
too.
Yep.
She's. I love how you will share about her, and you're like, she is so dang good at this.
Yep. Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, it must be a family business, right?
It is. It is the family business. That's right.
Oh, I love it. Well, and yeah, just you guys with your kids. I just love watching what you're doing. I just think
Thank you.
it's really cool. So tell me about, because your brand is Everyday Champions, right?
Yep.
What is like that vision behind it, or why do you call it that? Like, how did you land like on that? Just like, what's your, yeah, I guess just the vision
Yeah.
behind
Yeah, I think, anybody that knows me, they love, I love a good play on words. I love an acrostic. I'm always thinking it, and I love that everyday champion, because I would say an everyday person can be an everyday champion, right?
it.
Like, you don't have to. It's not for an Olympian and a NFL player. It's like, no, you can be an everyday champion as a school teacher, as a plumber, as a banker, right? Like, you can just be an everyday person, waking up, taking care of your family, working your job, and you can be an everyday champion. But if you're going to be an everyday champion, you got to be a champion every day, right? Like, and that's the beauty of it. It's like, it's that consistency of, like, hey, every single day I want to take one step in the right direction. And
Yeah.
so it just puts in there, like, that champions aren't created in a moment, right? Like,
Mhm.
championships don't just happen, you know, in the Super Bowl. Like, man, that was an everyday grind for years and years and years and years of the coaches and the players developing, evolving, becoming, growing, to get to that place where now, wow, they're the Super Bowl champions. But it didn't happen in the Super Bowl. It
Yeah.
happened in that daily commitment. And so that type of mentality, once again, coming from sports, realizing how that works, it's like, man, it's an everyday commitment to being a champion. And
Yeah.
so really that play on words, it's like, man, hey, anybody can be a champion.
Mhm.
Anybody can be a champion, but you just got to be willing to commit to every single day growing, developing, and really working to optimize, yourself. And so that's really where that name comes from.
Well, I love that. And I remember when we were talking about your 40-day finish, this
Yeah.
campaign that you do at the end of the year, and you've done it for years. And I just remember hearing you and Destiny talk about it. And it like actually like lit a fire in me, like, what if I could do something just like consistently? And I think what's so cool about how you teach is, and you just alluded to it here, but it's just like it doesn't need to be some big life altering thing. It's like just a little thing that just compounds over time. Would you say that that's kind of really how you coach people is just these little, like stacking up these little wins every day.
Absolutely. 100%, and I think that that's where people, they really overlook these small things, and they're waiting for a big moment. They're waiting for a big thing, right? They're waiting, and it's like, no, no, no. So what I say a lot is people are waiting for things to change instead of working for their thinking to change. And
Oh,
if we can work just for our thoughts to change, just if we can start thinking better a little bit every day, then our behavior is going to get better. It's going to follow that, right? And so
yeah.
people are waiting for this big moment, this big open door, this big break, and it's like, man, that you can't live just waiting for those things. But if you're working for those things to change just every day, you're going to put yourself in position for the big things to actually happen that you're going to create through that change. And I always like to say, hey, your 10-year future is coming. You're
Mm,
going to arrive in your 10-year future, where whatever 10 years looks like for you, you're going to arrive there. And that 10-year future self is going to be counting on one thing: you being the very best you can be when you arrive there. And
yeah.
if you haven't done what you need to do, then the opportunities that you could have, we understand this, are not going to be there, right?
Yeah.
But it's that long-term mindset to say, if I do what I need to do every single day, that 5-year future, that 10-year future, that 20-year future, I'm going
Mm,
to put myself in the best place to succeed. And so it's really having that long-term view with that daily mindset, right? So I've got a long-term view, but a daily mindset to just keep on taking one step, each and every day. And we know, was it, there's all the quotes, man, the 1,000 miles, or what, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? One step. We know all these things to be true. How
yeah.
you build a house, one brick at a time. Like, we know all these things to be true, but when it comes to our lives, sometimes we just, man, we want it quick, we want it fast, we want it in a moment, with just the door to open magically, mystically, miraculously. And it's like, nah, so many times
Yeah.
it's just built on the daily commitment. And so that's really what I really stress, is just that daily growth and awareness.
Well, it makes me think of it was a speaker or something I read. Gosh, it might even be biblical, but it's like if the person who you are today, if you got that, say, like that 10-year, 5-year out, like that goal that you have, it's like you're not the person yet that achieves it. So if you were given that today, you wouldn't even be able to keep it because
Right.
you haven't done the work.
That's right.
And yeah, it's just, and I think too, this was actually in a sermon in our church one time, but it was really about like these obstacles and things that you go through on the way to that, like that vision that you have for yourself. It's like that's where you're really being prepared and refined, and that character is being built on your way. But it's like if we saw what it takes to get there,
Right.
we wouldn't want to do
Absolutely.
it,
No,
you know?
100%.
I mean,
100%.
I think if we people wouldn't even have kids if they knew as hard as being a parent was sometimes, you know.
No doubt.
How many kids do you have? Like 10? No, I'm just kidding. You got five,
Exactly.
don't you?
Right. Right. Right.
A lot of them.
There's no question. There's no question about it, man. And but you are right. I mean, that's where the growth happens. It's where that friction, that challenge, that adversity, figuring things out, learning about yourself. There's nothing greater than adversity to reveal the things in you that are like, oh man, that's not what I want in there. And it gives you the chance to really to work on it and develop. And it's just, once again, it's just like athletics, man. You get out there on the field and you get exposed, things get revealed. It's like, oh man, we weren't
Yeah.
as tough as we thought we were, as fast as we thought we were. It's like, man, you get out there in competition, and you get exposed as a team, and it's like, man, okay, what do we need to do now to
Mm,
work to be where we can build the championship team? What does that look like? So it's the same thing in life. It's like, man, the challenges, they expose you, they form you, they mold you, and they give you a chance to work on these things so that you can, to your point, become the person who can handle that 5-year blessing, that
yeah.
10-year future, right? It's like
Yeah.
there is no other way. I mean, it's no other way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's so funny. Just like all these things keep popping in my head. Like, it's like, yeah, you want what I have, but you're not willing to do what I've done. And So I'm curious because I want people to be able to like take something like tangible and
Yeah.
they can like apply. So if somebody was like, you know what, I want to level up, I have goals, I have dreams, I just don't know what to do. Like, what is one small thing that I could do every day? Like, do you have an exercise or like a tip that somebody like just a starting place for people?
Yeah. No, I think that finding the one thing that you do, and I think I'm big on the one thing, right? Like find one thing and make it really small. You know, I love the book Atomic Habits by James
Oh
Clear,
yeah.
right? Like, I mean, just it's a masterpiece on creating change and transformation and habits, right? Because it's like, d- like, I mean, he breaks it down to like just lay out your clothes. Like, you don't even have to go to the gym, right? Like, that's what he says. Like, just put them out the first day, and if you just lay them out, like that's a win. You,
Yeah.
you don't even have to, Then he's like, okay, lay them out and put them on. You don't even have to drive to the gym. Then he's like, put them on and drive to the gym, but don't even go in.
Mm,
I mean, this is like literally he's stacking these wins about just lay out your clothes. Then the next day put them on. And then like the next day drive to the gym, but don't go in. And he's like, then the next day go in for 5 minutes.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, because you start to go, hey, I can do this. I'm the kind of person who puts my clothes out. I'm the person who gets dressed for the gym. I'm the person who drives to the gym. I'm the person who goes into the gym. I'm the person that stays 5 minutes at the gym, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, whatever it is, if it's journaling, if it's meditation, if it's going for a walk around your block, one lap around your block, whatever that would be, starting a little stretching yoga routine, whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
one thing that you can do and start at such a small level, which once again, coming back to where we were talking a minute ago, most people want to go, I mean, I'm going all in, you
Oh man,
know,
I'm gonna
like
work out for 2 hours every day, and by week
yeah,
two, they're like it's completely fallen off the wagon.
go big or go home. I'm going to meditate. I got this 3 hour morning routine that I'm going to implement. And man, you've been hitting snooze for the last 8 years. You
Yeah,
hadn't woke up, you hadn't woke up in time to do anything in 8 years. And you're not going to have a 2 hour routine, and you're not going to
no,
read your Bible and journal and pray and meditate and get in a cold plunge and
oh
sauna and do
yeah,
like it ain't gonna work. You're not doing it. So like
yeah,
literally the smallest thing, and just do one thing and then just do it and realize that you're not going to even do that well. It's like you think, but surely no, you're not. You're going to say, I'm going to walk, and you're not going to walk. Well, just keep on coming back to, but I'm going to do it. Like just keep on coming back to mastering that one thing. Once you do that, then you're like, oh wow, look, I did it. Like I'm walking around the block now I'm walking every morning. Like
mm,
wow, might take you 3 months to get where you're doing it every morning, but now you're doing it every morning because you just never stopped. You did it once a week, and then twice a week, and then you went and did it none a week, and then you came back the next week, did it 3 times a week, just staying with it, staying with it. Now it's like, oh, this is who I am. I'm a person that gets up and walks every day.
yeah,
Maybe it took you 3 or 4 months to get there, but isn't that better than where you were 3 or 4 months before? Like you
yeah,
you weren't even doing that. And so it's like, and then you go, well, what else could I do? If I could do this, what else can I do?
yeah,
And so I'm not big on saying it should be this thing or that thing. It's like picking that one thing and making it very doable. And for me, like that's like no more than 10, 15 minutes. If you're trying to do something more than 10 or 15 minutes, it's like, yeah,
probably not
don't
sustainable.
don't start there. Don't
Yeah,
start there, and then I will say this. I think the biggest thing about that is celebrating the small things.
mm,
People feel like I shouldn't celebrate, right? It's just like, and it's like, no, celebrate the smallest of wins.
yeah,
That first day you walk around the block, man, it's like you just ran the Boston Marathon. I mean, just celebrate, pat yourself on the back, man, tell somebody you love about it, something like,
yeah,
just celebrate that success, because what that does, that celebration is like fuel for the next time you go to do it.
yeah,
And so I think that that's one thing that people miss, because they feel so not really ashamed, but they just feel like this is so small, so
yeah,
insignificant, right? Like, well, shouldn't really be celebrating this when there are people running 5 miles and I'm walking for 5 minutes. Like, should I really be celebrating my 5 minute walk when my neighbor ran 5 miles? It's like, yes, you should,
yeah. Because
because you weren't. you weren't doing it before and now you did. So celebrate that. You let that fuel you for the next walk and the next thing. And so I really think that there's a lack of celebration out there,
Mm,
just because we see things on social media and people are doing it so big and they're doing it so this and they,
yeah.
they got their 4 hour morning routine and they got this and they got, you're like, oh God, like I mean, I'm just hoping if I can get a 20-minute stretch and read a book for, 10 minutes and like, and you feel so bad. It's like, celebrate that,
Yeah.
celebrate that. And I think that if we can put more celebration into the small, seemingly insignificant, I think we will start to see more growth happen. I know that's the way it's been for me. Um, and I just think that, man, we respond to celebration, and when you can celebrate, man, celebrate. And I think it really helps us on the journey.
Yeah, well, and I think too, it's like people, it like gives us confidence. We feel good about ourselves. I think when we feel good about ourselves, like our energy raises, and then we're more confident in doing it the next day. But when you were using the example of like walking around the block and you're like, and maybe you didn't do it for a week, would you like, I mean, that just makes me think like, yeah, like don't get down on yourself if you don't do it one day. Cause
Yep.
I was thinking, I'm curious on your opinion of like 75 hard.
Hmm.
Like it's really challenging, like, it's
Yeah.
asking a lot out of somebody, and I'm like, I've never done it, but I was like, maybe like a 75 soft or like a
Yeah.
30 day, like,
Right.
there's all these challenges or 21-day fix or, there's just all sorts of things, and challenges that people put out there, but with the 75 hard, it's like, if you fall off the wagon, you gotta start over, uh, and I'm like, oh, like, it's like, that seems gut wrenching to me, like, I don't know if I'm built for that, but I'm
No
curious,
question about it.
what you think about
I
it.
can tell you that there's one guy that hasn't done 75 hard, nor is he going to be signing up anytime soon. I'm all about health and fitness, but
I was
but
like,
no,
"I don't think that's for me."
but no, thank you. Here's the thing. But I do know somebody that did it, when I tell you it transformed their life, it transformed their life. I mean, it
Yeah,
transformed their health. It transformed. So like, there are people who go through something like that, and it's really like a boot camp. It's like a mil. It's like it. Man, it is truly transformative and truly changing. But then I do agree with like what you're saying right now. I'm very much, and I think what the genius of it is it creates structure.
yes.
It tells you exactly what you need to do, and that's the genius of it. It's like, exactly how much water you're supposed to drink, exactly how many pages of the book you're supposed to read, exactly how many workouts and for how long. It's like so clear. It just creates so much clarity for people.
Yeah,
And so I think that really appeals to a lot of people, just the level of clarity. Yeah,
mhm,
but I'm on a long journey, because I can promise you there's people that have done 75 hard, and they did it 3 years ago, and
yeah,
it's like once they finished, and they're in a worse place today than they were before they started.
mm,
Right. And it's like, man, because it's like you thought 75 hard was going to fix you. You thought it was going to be that one thing that you needed. And it's like, no, man, the life is a long race.
yeah,
It's a long race, man. We got to do this thing for a long time. And if you
mm,
don't have a long-term view of how you are preparing yourself and how you are pacing yourself and the things that you are doing, man, it's
yeah,
going to be really, really difficult. And so, man, that's why I'm like, yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, you start to journal and you don't journal for a week, well, don't give up. Just go start back the next week. Like, just journal again on Monday, and if you forget the rest of the week, fine.
yeah,
Journal again next Monday. Like
yeah,
I tell people all the time, it took me 7 years to get a journaling habit. It took me 7 years. I tried for 7 years to be a journaler. I mean, until 5 or 6 years ago when it finally like clicked. And now, man, it's like it's part of my life. But it took me 7 years of committing to that process and failing my way forward
yeah,
to get to this process of like, man, but I knew it was valuable. I
mhm,
knew it was something that I wanted, and I just kept working towards it. And now it's a part of my life. And so
yeah,
I think that long-term view, man, if people could just really look out in their future and go, hey, 5 years is coming, 10 years is coming,
yeah,
20 years is coming. What do I want my life to look like when I get there? Well, what are the things that are going to be important to me? All right, I want to start doing those things. And if I have a bad day, have a bad week, have a bad month, it's still 10 years away. It's coming. So I got to get myself back headed in that, in that direction. And so I think that long-term view is, to me, is the best thing that you can do when you're really looking at kind of life and longevity of success.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, I think keeping that bigger vision, because then, like we're saying, if you kind of fall out of routine and like the short end, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's still like, even if you get back to it, it will stack up. It was just making me think of like, man, I used to
Yeah.
meditate every day. I used to do gratitude every day. And I'm like, what changed in my schedule where like I quit doing that at a certain time? Like, I don't, but it's
Right.
so funny how you can do something for a long time and then just like an upset and then getting back to it. So I
Yeah.
do think that there's definitely something to consistency and showing up for certain things every day, because it's hard to get back to it when you quit doing it for a while. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Justin Thomas, a golfer who just won one of one of their big tournaments just a couple weekends ago, and he hadn't won for 3 years, and he was telling the story of at the end of last season, so like November, December, kind of when they wrap up, he went to go see another guy on tour because he wanted to talk about putting. So he asked him, he said, "Hey, can I come talk to you about putting?" He said, "I
Mm.
want three, if you can, you give me 3 hours of your time." And he said, he sat down and he said, when he sat down to talk to this guy just asked him questions
Oh, okay.
about his routine. And he said, what he did is he reminded me of all the things that I used to do that I just stopped doing.
Oh, wow.
And he said, he didn't tell me anything. He
Yeah.
just reminded me about what I used to do and all the drills I used to do and the pre round exercises that I did and all the things that I did, that somewhere along the way I just got successful and started winning and thought, oh well, they'll take care of themselves. He said, and I'll just stop doing. So this off season he started doing, and he had the biggest win he's had in, or the only one he's had in 3 years on the professional tour, and he attributes it to the habits that he started doing because of this conversation. But he was just reminded, and he said, I stopped doing them in like 2017,
Oh, wow.
2017, 2018. So you think about that, right? You think like, wow, I mean, how incredible is that this professional stopped doing things that work. And and he was reminded, then he started doing them, and here he wins again. And I think that's exactly what you're saying right now. Of
Mhm.
like, somewhere along the way, we just kind of forget things, and you just got to go, oh man, that was better. I need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to start back, and figure it out. And that's the way that I think it really works.
Yeah, and I think it really shows you the importance of like the little things. Like it's really just the same thing that we're talking about. And I love watching documentaries about like really high performing athletes. I think it's just fascinating. But a lot of times what you see is it comes down to those little things. Like Michael Jordan still went in and shot free throws probably every time, and
Yeah,
then just his jump shots from around the different spots on the court, probably shot hundreds of thousands, I think, before practice even started. Like it's like
right.
they do the drills that like the little guys are doing, but
Yes.
it's like, because that stuff's always important for like the foundation of your success.
Yes.
So I just love that as a reminder. That's so good.
Yeah, you just can't get away from the fundamentals, and I say you never outgrow the fundamentals because you can't grow without the fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
So you never outgrow, you never graduate from the fundamentals,
Mm-mm.
because you can't grow without them, right? And so those little things, man, that we do on a daily basis, whether that's in our relationships, whether that's in our finances, whether
Mm.
that's in our physical health, our mental, emotional health, the things that we do that allow us to be healthy, you can't get away from those and be healthy. You have to do the fundamentals, right? And we know that it's not rocket science, but that's basically what you're always doing, is reminding people of the fundamental. As a coach, that's what it is, just reminding people of the fundamentals. As a pastor, just reminding people of the fundamentals. Now coaching executives and leaders, it's just reminding people of the fundamentals, helping bring their focus back to the things that they need to be doing to be who they really want to be.
Yeah.
And it's just those little things, and that's why we need a coach, because whether you're talking the NFL, you're talking the NBA, you're talking golf, you're talking business, it's why we need a coach, because they always bring us back to focus on the things that we need to be focusing on to become who we want to be.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really powerful too when you have those coaches and those mentors in your life. I think that it's so important to have somebody that has a different vantage point, like but that you can trust to give you sound advice and that has like your best interest at heart. I'm a big believer in that because I think, of my kids, they have coaches for everything.
Yeah.
And teachers and, all these adults in their life, like whether it's through school or people that we're paying to get better at certain skills. But somewhere along the way, it's like adults think that they're just supposed to have it figured out.
Yep.
And, I'm a huge advocate for coaching and having those people speaking life over you and encouraging you and holding you accountable.
Yep.
And
Yep.
people don't always like that.
Right. Right. No, there's no question. I always use the example of like in football where, you have the press box, you got coaches in the press box, right? And why do you put coaches up in the press box? Because they have the best vantage point, right? They can see what's going on. You get lost on the field. You can't see where your guys are lined up or where their guys are lined up. It doesn't matter where you find yourself on the field. You can't see through the other defenders. But the guys in the press box, man, they can see it all happening out there.
Yeah.
And you want coaches up in the press box. You want, if you're a coach on the field, you want somebody in the press box telling you what's going on out there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same way in business, the same way in life. Like you want somebody who has that press box vantage point where they can help you call the best play. They
Yeah.
can help put you in the best position for success because they see what's going on and they see, oh, this is your advantage, this is where you can win, this is, man. And I think if we could just embrace that concept and realize, man, if I could get somebody in my life who is connected but disconnected, right?
Mhm.
They're above the weeds, right? And they
Yeah.
can see down there, man. There's so much value, so much value in that. And one of the analogies that I always use when I'm kind of bringing on a new client is I say, like, I'm like the eye doctor. When you walk into the eye doctor, they can't do anything to fix your vision.
Uh-huh.
They don't know if you're nearsighted or farsighted. You see perfect, you're blind. Like when you walk in, they have no idea. They
Mm.
put you down in the chair, right? And then they are counting on you, on your honest feedback, right? And if you give honest feedback, and they can dial in that vision, right? You can leave seeing much better than you saw when you walk in, but they're counting on this relationship, right? There's this feedback, this transparency, this vulnerability, this
Yeah.
honesty that's got to be there. And if you'll be honest, man, we can dial these things in and you can be seeing clearer, which is going to allow you to make better decisions, right? And so that's one of the things that I always kind of use to say, hey, I want to help you see clear. And it kind of comes into that 30,000-foot view, is like there's things that I can see that you can't see because you're in the weeds. You're in
Yeah.
the weeds of your life, you're in the weeds of your business, you're in the weeds, but I'm up here. And so when we talk, I'm seeing it from a different vantage point and I can help you see what I see so
Mm-hmm.
that you can make different decisions if we will engage in this relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's been something that's been really valuable for the people that I coach, is just really giving them a different lens, a different perspective that then allows them to kind of change the way that they think about it and then ultimately change their behaviors.
Yeah. I guess kind of like one more thing that it's just we're almost at time and I just keep having all these things that are coming up. But I used to coach people in their nutrition and weight loss.
Yep.
And I think this is just human nature, is we want to present that we're a certain way, like it's just like being really honest and vulnerable, I think can be hard because people are afraid that we're going to like judge them. And so I
Yep.
think as a coach and somebody who's helping someone elevate, like you just said, you got to give me honest answers and honest feedback. But do you find resistance? Do you coach mainly men? Is it a lot of men, or do you have men?
I'm probably 80-20 men
Mm,
to women. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and it's funny, all my clients are men. Like,
Hmm.
I had a lot of women when I was working in the health
Yep.
industry, but with what I do now, it's mainly men. And do you ever find that you have to kind of overcome that ego piece, or maybe that like that fear of what if they see who I really am or what's really going on or how much money I actually make? I find that that's sometimes like a hurdle, because I tell people I don't care. Like when I was coaching nutrition, I was like, I don't care what you
Right.
weigh. It's just data to me. It's just telling me
Right.
where we're at. And then I know so that I can make the best recommendations to get you where you want to go.
Yep.
But there has to be, like you said, that honesty piece. And I think sometimes people have trouble with that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And sometimes it might be a few sessions in before you can really, kind of find that spot and really kind of start to, break it down.
Yeah.
But that's always what we're working for, because it's not going to work without it. I mean, it's just if we can't get there, we're not going to get anywhere,
Yeah, like we can't work together.
and so it's like, yeah, so that's going to have to be there. And fortunately for me, man, I've been able to bring everybody to that place. If they weren't there in the beginning, so many people are there right away. They're just like, hey, I need help.
Yeah,
I
like,
am overwhelmed.
please help
I
me.
don't know. Like, I'm just like, like, I need help. And they're just like, blah, like right from the beginning. They are like wide open because they're just so desperate to be helped. And so I think that, a lot of people have like that, but there's some people that are, like you're just saying, a little more reserved. But if we
Mhm.
can bring them, bring them through a little process and typically, get them to open up, and then we can really start moving somewhere.
Yeah. I love that. This has been such a great conversation. I love what you're doing. I love how you help people. Now, if people want to connect with you, obviously, like, follow you on social media, is there
Yep.
any other ways where you're engaging with people right now?
Yeah, philipdeas.com is my website, but mainly on social media. That's where you can find me, Phillip Deas, and all the all the social media sites. That's where I'm at.
Awesome. We'll link it in the show notes so everybody can find you, because, like I said, you're one of the good ones, man.
Thank you,
That's
Brittany.
my
I,
that's what
I
I'm trying to do,
appreciate it.
find the good ones and spotlight them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you for your time today, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.